Hi everyone, Karen from Stitches and Things. We are starting a series of videos to help you use up your bits and pieces. So I've just gathered a few bits and pieces here and I've gathered my digital scales. So today I'm going to talk to you about the benefits of a good pair of digital scales. Now these are not expensive. These I think were $25 at the kitchen shop. They weren't expensive scales so long as they go in 1 gram increments. They will do the job quite nicely. So I'm going to do a bit of a demo on the benefits of using digital scales and some interesting scenarios that can be very helpful using your digital scales with your knitting or crochet projects. So keep watching and let's have a look at digital scales. Okay, let us start with sock yarn. So just about every pair of socks that we make, we end up with some leftovers of sock yarn. I've got, obviously they're just sitting on the scale, but that's only just so that you can see them. But that is all sock yarn. So let's just turn our scales on. So I have got a sock that I have just knitted. Let's stick him on the scale. He is 37 grams. So there's a couple of things that are interesting with socks. The first thing is if I wanted to knit another pair, I need, let's be careful and say we need 40 grams twice. But this is quite a big sock. So that's probably, you know, an overestimation if you're doing regular socks. But if you put a sock you've already made of the same kind of yarn, so obviously this sock yarn is a 75% wool, 25% nylon, is going to weigh the same as other makeups. If you're using something that's got alpaca in it, you might find that it weighs a bit lighter. So you'll get more meters out of it. So that can be a bit confusing. But if we compare apples with apples, so if we were going to make another pair of socks and I want to use up all my leftover yarns, I know that I need 80 grams of yarn to make up my, oh, this might just work. All right, there's 86 grams there of sock yarn. So if I have a plan, and I said, okay, 34, that will almost make a sock. We're just shy of making a sock, which to me says it will make 2 legs. So then it might mean that your heels are that and your feet are a mixture of those. So you can plan ahead and figure out a stripy pattern, a fun pattern, a funky pattern, with your yarn if you know what you're doing. The other thing that happens with socks is that a lot of people will come into me with one sock that they've knitted. They're halfway through the second sock and they're like, uh-oh, I don't think I'm going to have enough. So what we do then is we'll put the sock they've knitted on the scales and then we'll put the knitting with the needles onto the scale. So we've got the needles, the knitted bit and the not knitted yarn. We'll stick them on the scales and away we go. We'll figure out whether they've got enough or not. But having said that, a really good plan of attack, if you think things are going to be skinny at some point, weigh your needles and write them down. Write down the weight of your needles before you start knitting, and then you'll be able to minus them off the equation if you need to weigh your partially knitted thing with the needles in it. So just take a note of the weight of your needles. We always end up with a lot of 8-ply leftovers. This hat here has got 3 colours in it. Let's just stick him on the scales. This is 8-ply. There's 88 grams. So if we had have knitted him with clean balls at the start, then there's obviously 3 balls of yarn there. There was 150 grams, so we're going to have quite a bit left over. We know that this is 90 grams worth of hat here. So if we wanted to make another hat, then all we need to do is exactly what I did with the socks. And we will, let's attach to something. We will stick some yarn on here and figure out whether we're going to have enough. And particularly if you've got small bits. So if I've got small bits, I could make a really interesting. Now, you wouldn't think that's 60 grams. What else have I got here? I've got a little bit more. I've got a little ball of that. 68, and there's a bit of pep in there. 82. This would be an interesting hat if we did that. So that little bundle there would make a funky striped hat. Once we have a look at that, we can decide how we're going to proceed. So with something like that, I would probably do the band in one colour and then do stripes, as in do 2 rows, 2 rows, 2 rows, 2 rows, 2 rows, and just keep alternating them. And you'll have something that looks planned. There is nothing worse than doing half a hat and then going, uh-oh, I haven't got enough yarn, and suddenly you've got a blue hat with a red crown. If you know ahead of time that you've weighed your yarn and you haven't got enough blue yarn to finish it, then you could say, okay, we'll do the band in blue and let's do blue, red, blue, red, blue. Let's be planned with our leftovers rather than getting stuck. So the other thing that people come into the shop all the time with a bag of wool and they're getting worried that they're going to run out. Have you got another ball of this? We might, but it might be a different dye lot, and then that upsets the apple cart. If you are clever with your scales and you've got a jumper or a cardigan that's front, back, 2 sleeves, if you're scared, knit the back and 1 sleeve. Stick them on the scales. And that should be about half. Obviously, you're going to have need a little bit for your neck, and if you've got other bands, but that's about half your jumper. Then you can have a look at how much yarn you've got left, and away you go. You can figure out whether you're going to have enough. If you think you're going to run out, then what I would do is, so if you did your front or your back and 1 sleeve and you're like, yeah, no, it's going to be too skinny, my suggestion would be leave your back as it is, pull out this sleeve, so it's not that much knitting, you can pull it out, and then get your scales out again, figure out how we knew how much the sleeve weighed, we know how much the back weighs, so we should know how much 2 sleeves in the front weigh. Add some extra yarn, but plan to put particular stripes in it. So a lot of jumpers you'll see, you think, well, they run out of yarn because it gets to here and then suddenly the top bit is a different color, and it's like, yeah, but imagine if they had done an amazing stripe job all the way up with sleeves with some amazing stripe job, and then it looks like it's planned. The ones that look awful if you've run out are the ones that have got, oops, I've run out, and they've got a splash through them that doesn't look planned. So you can plan ahead, use your scales, try and buy enough yarn to start with, but it doesn't always happen. It might be that you see something you like. Technically, it should work. We do get caught out quite a lot with people buying things by grams, and it's more, I must say, the older knitters that look at things by grams. They are used to buying wool, as in wool, not acrylic. They're used to buying wool, and that 50 grams was pretty much the same length across every ball, whatever you bought. But now it's not the same. This is 50 grams of Clackheaton Country. It has 95 metres. Pepin, that is 50 grams of 8 ply also. It has 110 metres. Now that is 15 metres difference per ball. So when you are looking at substituting yarn from one pattern to the next, don't look at the grams. Please don't look at the grams. Look at how many metres it's going to be to finish that project. If this was an acrylic garment, so let's say this pattern wants 10 balls of 50 grams of acrylic. If you said, cool, I'm going to knit this in wool, and I buy 10 balls of wool, you're going to run out, because acrylic is going to have, the balls of acrylic are probably going to have 140, 150 metres in them. That's 1,500 metres to make the garment. If you buy 10 balls of this, you've only got 950 metres. You're going to get caught short. So make sure you're looking at metres. When you stick things on the scales, know whether it's wool or acrylic. If you're going to compare, you need to compare apples with apples. Otherwise, bananas and apples don't work. So have a look at those things. Grab yourself your scales. Use the scales. We use the scales all the time. Customers come in with a problem. First thing I do, stick it on the scales. But just remember, weigh your needles first. If you need to If you then need to put your knitting on the scales with a needle, if you've got 2 needles, then I can put one on the scale and measure it and then do some maths. We can do it that way round, but if you're using circular needles, not so easy. But if you're using 2 needles, yeah, we can get around it. But just think about the maths of your meters, your grams, and use your scales and use your leftovers up. I have got drawers and drawers of bits and pieces because every single project ends up with a tiny bit. I love playing yarn chicken so that there's none left, but in the real world there is always something left over. So for the next few videos we are looking at using up your leftovers and different clever ways of using up your leftovers. So get out the digital scales, people, and get using up your leftovers.